Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Kanishka and you're watching Life in a Slide. Today's video is going to be really interesting because we are going to talk about these. This is an NVMe SSD which I use with my iPad. So if you're someone who is considering to expand the storage of your iPad, this is the video for you. Let's get started. For those who do not know, I am a street and documentary photographer based out of India, and I have completely switched to iPad for my photography needs. I use an iPad Pro M5 256GB version, hence I always fall short of storage. SSDs in the market are available in various versions. You can get the external SSDs like SanDisk, Samsung T7, T5, etc., which are very popular. You can also get the SATA SSD drives. Now, I do not prefer those because they are kind of older version and you do not get those kind of speeds. The third version, the NVMe SSDs with an enclosure. This is the most effective way of using SSDs in today's age because, as you know, the storage prices are really high, especially for SSDs. And I think NVMe SSDs strikes a perfect balance between the cost and the speed. They work really well with the iPad. The first thing to consider is the read-write speed of the SSD. You also must understand that not all iPads allow high speeds data transfer rates. So for example, if you're like me who's using an iPad Pro M5, it has got a Thunderbolt 4 port that allows for up to 40 Gbps transfer rates. So you're good with any high-speed SSD, maybe a SanDisk Pro, which has got around 2000 Mbps per second. That kind of a speed can be utilized by an iPad Pro. But if you're someone who's using a base iPad or an iPad Air, those do not have a Thunderbolt 4 port. And in such a scenario, it'll be just a waste of money because you would not be able to utilize the speed on the iPad. So it's very important to understand the device that you're buying the SSD for. The second thing to consider is, what do you need the SSD for? So for example, if you just need to back up your data from the iPad, you can use any hard disk drive because you do not require those high speed transfer rates. It's a one-time backup. So any day, for example, if I have a huge volume of images on my iPad and I just want to make a second copy of those onto a hard disk, then I think the best choice would be a hard disk drive because they're a lot cheaper as compared to SSDs, and I do not require those high speed transfer rates. While if you want to use an external storage as an extension of your internal storage of the iPad, then in those scenarios you would have to get a high-speed SSD because remember, the data transfer would be every now and then, and it requires to be very fast in order to do the job that you're doing on the iPad. So for example, if I'm using Lightroom on the iPad, and also if I just want to preview the images on the Files app, right? If you have a faster SSD, the preview generates a lot faster and you can just scroll through the images really fast. It gets really irritating if you're using a hard disk drive in such a scenario. I have done that, and trust me, it's a pain. I mean, you would be just scrolling down and it would just show the file name, but it would not show you the preview. It'll take a lot of time. The second scenario would be, let's say if you want to edit a video on your iPad on DaVinci Resolve and you're using an external SSD for that. So you're working directly out of the SSD rather than using your iPad internal storage. In such a scenario as well, you would require a very fast SSD because the 4K video rendering, the preview, all those things require a very fast data transfer rate. You must consider the bottleneck like I mentioned in my first point. Now let's talk about the advantages of using an NVMe SSD with an enclosure over the external SSDs like the SanDisk or the Samsung T7, T9, which are the most popular models in the market. Now the first thing is the cost to performance ratio. Now, if you're using an NVMe SSD, let's say we take a 1 TB version of this one. Now, this is a Western Digital SN7100, very popular NVMe SSD, which gives you a read-write speed of around 7000 Mbps per second. And the cost of 1 TB version is around 16,000 rupees or maybe even lesser. And if you factor in the enclosure price, this is just 1,000 rupees. Now, this is 10 Gbps. I'm getting a very high speed SSD for just 18,000 bucks. Now, if you see the Samsung T7, which just gives you a read-write speed up to 1050 Mbps per second as compared to the NVMe, which is 6000 Mbps per second, the price is 27,349 Indian rupees. Now, if you go for a higher version let's say we go for the Samsung T9 portable external SSD 1 TB version. This gives you again a 2000 Mbps read speed, while the NVMe gives you 3 times more, and the price is 28,999. So the price to performance ratio is of course a factor that you should consider when you're upgrading your iPad internal storage. I mean, you're getting 3 times the speed of an external SSD, at least this is what I feel. And there are other advantages as well. The flexibility of using that SSD anywhere you want. I mean, you can do the same with an external SSD as well, but then you get that speed benefit. And if you want to use this particular NVMe for playing games, you can just install it in your PC. This NVMe is more than capable to deliver the speed required for playing high FPS games. So yes, that flexibility also should be taken into consideration. By now you should be able to make a decision as to what you want to upgrade to, whether you want an NVMe or just an external SSD. I mean, I'm not against an external SSD, you can always go for it, but I feel that in today's day and age where the prices of the chipsets are so high due to the AI boom or whatever it is, I think the cost factor does play a major role. Alright, I think I have explained myself enough. So if you found this video helpful, I would request you to go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and do leave your feedback in the comment section. Do let me know if you think that all the points that I have mentioned in the video are reasonable enough to get you an NVMe, or do you want to still stick to an external SSD like SanDisk or the Samsung T7, etc. And yeah, I would go on producing such videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.